Hello, hello. How is everybody doing? Peter Vexelman here. I got my partner Julie Muse on the other end. How are you, Julie?
Oh, I'm doing awesome, doing awesome. Excited to talk about the subject that we're going to be talking about today, which is an old school way of finding deals, which is bandit signs, and done quite a few deals off bandit signs. So I'm pretty excited to talk to people today about it.
Yeah, we're gonna get rolling here in a minute or so. But isn't that funny, Julie? Like, I know you started a decade ago. I started 2 decades ago. But isn't that funny? Like, certain basics are still the basics. We've gotten up the food chain. We've done a bunch more now than we have 10 years ago. But there's some basics that just never go out of style, do they?
No, no, they don't. And actually, I was thinking about ordering some more to put down here where I'm at right now because I'm not seeing other people doing it. So I'm like, man, there is an opportunity. So, absolutely. Going back to old school models sometimes is one of the most efficient ways to get deals without spending a significant amount of money. There's marketing strategies out there where if you throw $10,000 at it, Peter, you know a deal is going to come out the other side. But the thing is that not everybody's got that kind of money to invest in themselves in their marketing. So, what we're trying to do is show you guys different ways that of marketing, right? Some of the old school ways that definitely find deals. So that's what we'll be discussing today as people are popping on. So glad you're joining us on this Friday morning. It's a beautiful day outside.
It sure is. It is gorgeous here in Atlanta. Actually, we are going to be heading out. I was going to say heading down. No, we're heading up to our lake house here in just a little bit. So, yeah, absolutely. 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 And Julie, along the lines of what you just said, it's interesting. I was just talking to some members of our marketing team, and we're talking about different techniques and strategies. And they said kind of what you said. They said in a little different ways. They said what happens in the world of marketing, right? It goes in waves. And so what happens when something really is like new, trendy, never seen before, a lot of people, and it works, a lot of people gravitate towards it for obvious reasons. It's new, it's trendy, it's working, right? But then what they said naturally happens, after a while, it dies out. And so the way, there's the way they were explaining it to me is then marketing, sometimes you do have to literally pull back for a second because everybody's in the game. Sometimes you have to accelerate, right, to move up the food chain and things like that. And I think bandit signs, what we're going to talk about here right now, I think bandit signs is exactly that. It's one of those things that a lot more people, let's face it. I used to not be able to drive around Atlanta, and I know you know what I'm talking about, downtown, get off any exit without seeing 4 or 5 bandit signs. Now I drive around and it's just like, I just don't see them anymore. And so what we're going to talk to you guys about here is a very, very, very relevant subject. So having said that, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Peter Vexelman. On the other side is Julie Muse. We are real estate investors, as most of you know us. Most of you follow us one way or another. Some of you guys are already doing deals with us, which is fantastic. But we are real estate investors. And the topic today is very near and dear to both of us because this is how we've done many, many deals. Matter of fact, Julie mentioned already, and she can talk about it here in a minute. She's in a process of ordering some more. I could tell you from my end, bandit signs came into my world fairly early on in this business. And the reason bandit signs came into my world very easy was not necessarily because I was so gung-ho about doing bandit signs. Bandit signs came into my world because I couldn't afford to do anything else pretty much when I got started. But I wanted to get as many leads as possible, right? And so I was always on the hunt. Like I was trying to figure out, okay, well, really no money to invest. I got some time. And bandit signs like magically appeared in my world because I started seeing across Atlanta these I buy ugly houses signs. And I could tell you bandit signs ultimately, there were 2 things that really built my business for me. One, bird dogs, and we'll have a special pop-up session here in the next couple of weeks about bird dogs. I'm a huge believer if you know how to work with them the right way. And the second thing that really built my business was Bandit signs. I'll tell you why I absolutely positively love Bandit signs. Okay. The reason I personally love Bandit signs is they generate what is known as an inbound lead. And for those of you that are not sure what is an inbound lead, really when it comes to any kind of lead gen, there's only two types of leads. There's what is known as an outbound lead or an inbound lead. An outbound lead is one you have to create, right? Like you make a call to an owner to see if they want to sell their property. You basically are reaching out. Now, there's positives and negatives to inbound and outbound leads. The outbound leads, the upside to them is they're usually the cheapest to do because you're taking the effort. You're knocking on the door, doesn't cost any money. You're making a cold call, doesn't cost any money. You're driving for dollars, doesn't really cost too much money. The downside is they're always usually the coldest leads, right? Because you're reaching out to somebody, and a lot of times you reach out to them from a perspective that you really don't know what's going on behind that door, right? You don't know if they want to sell or they don't want to sell or anything like that. On the flip side, there's what are known as inbound leads. Okay, inbound leads are the best kind of leads because they're calling you. Now, if you think about it, who in the world would ever call on a Bandit sign? I can tell you right now, somebody that looks like wants to sell their house. The good thing about inbound leads, unless it's a wrong number, they're almost exactly the kind of lead you're looking for. You got somebody willing to sell. You don't know exactly the motivation, the price, and all that, but there is no better source of leads than inbound leads. The downside to inbound leads, they tend to be expensive. They're the expensive leads. They're the kind of leads you're dumping money into, maybe Facebook marketing, Google marketing, direct mail marketing, and Bandit signs. Now, the good thing is, out of all of those that I just mentioned, by far the cheapest is the Bandit signs. Here's the other reason I love Bandit signs. Let's say you compare it to conventional marketing, maybe like radio, right? Radio could generate inbound lead. A television ad could generate inbound lead. A Google ad. They're expensive. They're good, but they only last for a certain amount of time, right? If I run a radio ad, I'm going to spend whatever, $500 for that 30-second spot, whatever. But guess what? When that 30-second spot is over, and when that 30-second spot is over, guess what? If my radio went on and I want to sell a house and I turn my radio on 30 seconds after that ad ran, I ain't going to see it no more, right? But the Bandit sign, you put that sign correctly in the right place, whether if I want to sell, whether I drive by it right when you put it up, a day later or a week later. So the great thing about Bandit signs, why I always tell people don't overlook Bandit signs, is as long as that sign is up, it's generating leads for you. So it's what's called a long tail. All these other, Google ads, that's a short tail. Direct mail's a short tail. TV ads, a short tail, meaning they're effective at the second they're being done. But Bandit signs, they're what are known as long tail type of marketing. And that's another very, very, very important thing about it. Now, I'll tell you how I did Bandit signs and how, if I was like starting all over again and I had a very, very limited budget of how I could handle Bandit signs, what I would do. My philosophy is this, and Julie's going to talk a little bit about hers, and she's a little bit differently because she also lives in a different area than I live in and this. But my strategy is always very simple. Go into the most condensed market possible. Condensed meaning a lot of housing, a lot of traffic, a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs. So I did my Bandit signs literally, if you could picture Atlanta, this is Atlanta. Atlanta has a loop around it, okay? And a highway around it. And so how I penetrated the Atlanta market is very simple. I followed the loop and I followed the intersecting highways that went across. That's where I did it. So bottom line is I did it on exits of highways. Okay. I did it at exits of highways. Oh, by the way, the verbiage was very simple. Remember, you got an eyeball that you got to maybe 1 or 2 seconds, right? I buy houses. And then I would say usually either cash, any condition, close quickly. I wouldn't say all of that because that's just too much information. So I buy houses, any condition, and then a phone number, okay? And the way I like to do mine was this. I would usually go out at nights and do them because the reality of this is, and I'm not the first one to tell you, they're like not something that's going to stay up forever. And usually people don't like them to be up. And a lot of times code enforcement is really done liking to be up. So the reason I did them at night is because I knew I would at least get the night traffic to pass through because I knew code enforcement wasn't out and stuff like that. Days of the week I did them, usually Fridays. Why? Because code enforcement works during the weekday. They don't work at nights. They don't work on weekends. But then, guys, I found a couple hacks. I'm going to give you one of the biggest hacks out there in terms of keeping them up. And by the way, the biggest thing about bandit signs is the longevity, the keys to keep them up as long as possible. So let me give you hack number 1. I started figuring out, how do I keep these things up longer? And I realized almost all the time, the people that took these down were not pedestrians, but was, again, the city. City literally sometimes would, just take them down. So here's hack number 1. I started actually moving away. I started moving away from putting them out in highways. I actually started putting them in the city. Now, the upside to that is even more traffic. If you put them strategically out, like at intersections, I always put them out at intersections. The downside is they would come down quicker because really tons of code enforcement inside the city. So here's hack number 1. I learned many years ago that code enforcement could only take them down if they're on public property. So what I started doing is I would put bandit signs out at these lights, intersections, because obviously that's where people are stopping and looking. But guess what or just about every intersection has, at least here in Atlanta? It's got a gas station, right? So what I would do, and gas station, that's private property. So I would put it at an intersection, but I would actually put it on the very corner piece of the gas station. And the gas station people, they don't care. It's like right there, 2 inches inside their property on the corner. They don't even notice it. But yet code enforcement can't go on there and can't grab it. So I started putting them out like that strategically, and they would stay up a lot longer. A couple other things. Make sure, and Julie and I were just talking about this as it relates to some other leads, but the key to a lead is you have to get to it quickly. Got to get to it quickly. And so what I always realized long time ago is when somebody calls me, right, I better call them back. I usually abandon signs just because, again, you don't want to give out your personal number or you don't want to pick up the phone on the other side as code enforcement, so you usually take it to voicemail and make sure make sure that you are putting them in make sure your voicemail is set up in such a way that you are able to get to it quickly. Okay. And then I would just go into a conventional script, tell me about your situation. How can I help you? What do you have? What are you selling and stuff like that? And I could tell you guys right now, and Julie and I were just talking about this 20 minutes ago, that I think the time is really good right now for bandit signs because more people than ever are kind of in trouble because of COVID. They're coming out of moratoriums. So there's a lot of things that are going to be taking place here because of COVID. We're actually doing whole trainings coming up, and there's a tsunami that's about ready to be unleashed. And because of that, there's going to be more and more motivated people, and you have to get more and more creative how to get a hold of them. And let me just tell you something. Bandit signs, I think at this point, should be part of everyone's arsenal as far as being a successful real estate investor. What do you think, Julie?
No, I totally agree with you, Peter. So guys, Peter's talking to you like about a major city in Atlanta. I'm going to, who here lives in a big major city that's on this call right now? Just put it in the chat. Where mostly, if you were going to do bandit signs, you would be in a big major city. Michelle says she's in Seattle. Absolutely, that's a huge major city. Now I'll tell you, for me, like Graham, he's in Phoenix. I'll tell you, for me, I've always lived in a more, I would say, like a secondary or maybe a third tier market, not a huge city, but still a city where people live in, right? So, or there's definitely, room for growth. I tell you this, if a town has a Walmart in it and it's a second or third tier market, it's a good real estate market. Whenever you're seeing, and I'm going to probably get here on a tangent a little bit, but a lot of people ask me, when's rule to rule? Rules to rule when you don't have a Walmart and you don't have a fast food place. And why is it important to have a fast food place in a town? Because when you go to get a franchise from, let's say, a Chick-fil-A, a Taco Bell, a McDonald's, these big companies will not put locations where there's not certain demographics, right? They never want to see one of their stores closed down. So if you're wondering if your town is too rural for real estate, it's too rural when you don't have a Walmart or some fast food places. Okay, everybody got that? So I, live in a town that at least has a Walmart and some fast food spots. But the thing that makes a difference for me, you're going to see a lot less competition when you're going into these second and third tier markets. Okay, a lot less competition. So your signs are easily displayed. Also, another thing, less likely to have code enforcement take your signs down. Okay. And I want to give you a hint on not getting your signs taken down. So do you know the people that go out and cut grass with their bush hog or their mowers with a tractor on the side of the road? I know everybody's seen that, right? Don't put your bandit signs or your signs in the way of the people that cut grass. Okay? Because they've got to get out and pick up that sign, get out of their tractor, pick up the sign, throw it in there before, because they can't just run over it with the mower. So when you're placing the signs, always be, and it's weird, but always be thinking about that. About, okay, are they going to have to come mow the sides of the grass? Because inevitably, all of these people work in the county. I don't want the guy that mows the grass telling the guy in the county that does code enforcement about my signs. Another good spot is when you're coming up to a stop sign. Okay. And a lot of us live in places, you're going to see a lot of wind. Put it up next to the metal part of the stop sign and you won't going to get as much. What is it about a stop sign going into a major road? I like, a major road, and then you've got roads going into that major road. You have to stop at a stop sign, right? You may have to stop because you're going to wait for traffic to go by. So I know that I've got somebody looking at this particular sign at that moment in time. But if you're going to do bandit signs, don't fall in love with your bandit signs because they will get destroyed. They always do. But the point is that when you do get a call from somebody with a bandit sign, generally that person is interested in selling their home. And I'm going to take it one step further. If somebody calls me off my bandit sign, I don't care if I'm at dinner. I don't care if I'm at home watching TV. I'm going to answer the phone. Let me explain to you how to do this, guys, for about $10 a month. There are companies out there that have internet-based phone numbers, okay? Like a CallRail or a Vumber, like VUMBER, that have apps on your phone. Or if you use a computer-based program, you simply forward that number to your cell phone. Well, what happens is that I like to label different phone numbers with different marketing strategies. That way, when my phone rings, I know exactly where the lead came from. So you call my internet number, My caller ID knows the internet number. So literally on my phone, it comes up and says Bandit sign, because that's how I saved the number. So if someone calls off a Bandit sign, I'm running. Here are some other good reasons to put out Bandit signs. Or if you're ever trying to build a cash buyers database too, other investors will call you on the Bandit signs. You will have cash buyers call you and say, hey, I saw your sign that you buy houses. You know, this are the type of properties I'm looking for. So putting those signs out are going to get you cash buyers and they're going to get you sellers. Okay. Now I want to share with you some hints on what Bandit signs you should buy. And let me go ahead here. I created this a little slide here for you guys so that you're able to kind of see some things. Now, the best place that I've found personally to buy a Bandit sign is this company right here called dirtcheapsigns.com. They literally, when you go to the website and say yard signs, right, then you can go there and they have templates. They have lots of different templates. So all you have to do is plug in your information. Now, for me, I always use this one that says cash, fast cash. We buy houses with a phone number. I like only 2 colors on the sign. You'll see people order signs and they'll put all of this stuff on there. And my goodness, the sign's only like this big. Oh, I don't know if you can see both sides. If you put too much like pictures and all this stuff on there, you're going to lose it because you won't be able to physically see it. So that's why I like fast cash. We buy houses. Here's my phone number in 2 colors. Now, when you go to purchase these signs from here, they're going to try to sell you something called an H stake, which is 2 metal rods that fit up in the corrugated plastic. Guys, those things suck. And I hate to say it, because what happens is the wind starts blowing, the signs just start bending over, bending over, bending over, bending over. And like for me, a lot of my signs stick around for a year, 6 months. So I want it to have a good solid foundation. Here is the tricks that I've found to really put these signs together to make them last. So if you go to Home Depot, they have these 3-foot wooden garden stakes. Okay, so you get 25 of these wooden stakes in a pack. Okay. Now, mine, when I use the green signs, Peter, at Home Depot, they have these roofing nails, and some of them are orange, but they actually have green with the green plastic around it. So I simply put it in the same green spot as my sign. What this does is when you nail, this is an actual nail. When you nail the sign to your wooden stake on the top and in the bottom, don't get lazy and do it in the middle, because if you hook it up in the middle, the sign's going to bend top to bottom. So you're going to put one here and you're going to put one here. I like using the roofing nails, and I also like using these stakes. The other reason that I like using the stakes is when you go to hammer this down, you've got a solid surface to hit. Okay, so you've got a solid surface to literally get that sign into the ground. You're not putting your foot on that flimsy piece of metal. Yeah, this costs a little bit more for each sign, but for those of you that are wanting your signs to last a little bit longer, let me tell you something. Your sign, all of the ink will come off of the sign before this stake gets ruined. And honestly, if I see one of my signs ruined, I pick the whole stake back up and I use that same stake again. Okay, because again, it's literally a piece of wood, a wood garden stake. So they also have other cool tools like a sign stapler. Like if you were to look out here in my yard, there's a power pole out here. Another good place for a sign, for your sign not to get torn down, is to put it on a power pole. And if you'll see this young lady right here, what you can do is you can put your sign up really high. That way nobody can grab it off of there and take it. So you could actually use this Bandit sign stapler from signstapler.com hook it to your sign and go bam and hit it right up there on the top of the power pole. So these are some good ways of things to not get taken down. Some advice on how to keep these signs lasting a little bit longer. But that's my biggest word of advice to you is definitely always watch out, right, for where people are going to be mowing the grass, especially if you live in a more rural area. Guess what? Another one, Lowe's and Home Depot. Do you know when you go to Lowe's and Home Depot where you've got two sides of the building? You go into the contractor side or you go into the other side. Put in the driveways coming into a Home Depot or a Lowe's, or even inside of a grocery store. You know, like sometimes in the parking lot, they'll have places where there's a tree growing, or maybe they've got some landscape, and I put them in there. And I put them up and down the side next to Home Depot. Because people go to Home Depot for what? Home improvement, right? So those are some other good ways. Those are some other good ways for some Bandit signs. That's really all I have about Bandit signs. But I'll tell you, well, actually, you know, Peter, one of the biggest wholesale deals, no, one of the biggest flips we ever did came off a Bandit sign.
Oh, really? Which one was that?
In a rural area. It was one of our flips in Gainesville. I don't know if you remember, it was an older lady, and we bought it for $205,000, and it needed like $20,000 in work, and we sold it for well over $300,000. Now, what was funny on this batch of signs, believe it or not, Peter and I went and put these signs out ourselves one day. And this was only a couple of years ago. We just decided we were going to go put out some signs. I only got one call off of those signs. Those signs probably cost us, I don't know, $400. Yeah, we put out all those signs, but we made like $70,000, right? So you wouldn't think that it was a good thing because I only got one call off of those signs. But it was because the lady that called me needed to sell her house, and she needed to sell it fast because she couldn't take care of the lawn anymore, right? So they do work to get you some of those motivated seller leads.
You know, here's the bottom line, guys. These things work, but so do other marketing techniques and marketing strategies. The key is you just got to do it. You just really got to do it. And again, the reason I love these, the reason Julie loves them, they're inbound, which means it's probably a more motivated seller. Well, it's definitely a more motivated seller than just, you know, making random calls, although making random calls works just as effectively. But just do it. You know, if you've never done Bandit signs, or if you used to do Bandit signs and you've kind of fallen out of it, get some Bandit signs, get them out there. They absolutely work. Julie just mentioned a deal. I don't know if you remember this, or I don't know if you mentioned this, Julie, but remember, was it a couple of years ago or a year ago, you and I went together, put some Bandit signs out?
That call came from those signs that you and I put out that day. Yeah.
Not only did that deal come from those Bandit signs, we put them out ourselves, didn't we, Julie? We didn't like even have someone else put them up. You and I got in your pickup truck and off we went.
Yeah, and I decided to drive so I didn't have to jump out and put all the signs up. Peter had his hammer, and I'd already made all the signs in the back of my truck. It was a fun day.
Very, very fun day. And it was very financially rewarded day also. So guys, use Bandit signs. They absolutely work. We encourage you, for those of you that are partners, as you start using them, put that on Facebook. Just say, hey, I got 10 signs. And you and like Julie said, you can make these yourself. You could order them, or you could literally go to Walmart. I used to make them myself. I used to go to Walmart, just, you know, buy the stakes, buy the board behind it. Obviously not as not as professional looking, but I just didn't have too much money to spend in the beginning. So I actually went out there and I made them myself. I put them out myself. I took the calls myself. And guess what? I even closed the deals as a result of all that. So they absolutely work. So guys, listen, some of you guys are partners here today. Great, great, great. Hopefully you got some value out of these. We're going to do a lot more pop-up training. It's a great way for us to connect with you. There are a couple of you guys that we were invited who are not partners, but you've been more or less You've been following us, you've been interacting with us. To be a partner is very simple. You know, what does it mean to be a partner? We're going to do exactly what Julie and I are doing. We do this every day with our partners, privately, behind the scenes, in group settings, privately, one-on-one. So we coach all our partners up. We generate leads for our partners. Okay, so we literally generate leads for our partners. We have a proprietary CRM system called Deal Engine HQ that literally starts marketing for our partners. We provide all the capital for our partners to close on deals. And then we sell them and split the profits down the middle, 50-50. Now, some of you guys, like I said, we invited a few select people here today who are not yet partners. If you're ready to join, like literally ready to join, you've already probably talked to a team member. But if you're ready to join, it's 50. We could do some internal financing for you, but you have to put $1,500 today. I'm going to do something I haven't done in a couple of years. I'm going to give you my personal number. If you could put it in chat. So if you're ready to join, you have the $1,500, the initial down payment to join. Call me directly at area code 404-915-9685. That's 404-915-9685. So if you're ready to become a partner, you have the initial $1,500 down payment, so we could internally finance you for the rest. Give me a call. But other than that, Julie, I'm not sure if you have anything else, but I enjoyed it. I enjoy doing these pop-up trainings. We're going to get committed to doing a bunch more. We're going to tackle, you know, different topics. We're going to keep them short and sweet, down to the point. But remember, the key is not just to listen. The key is to go out there and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, really today, you just got to take action, right? And I do want to say these methods do work. You'll notice anybody see Facebook ads about real estate investing, and they make fun of putting out bandit signs. They make fun of doing these other things. Those are ways to get you to buy products. This is still a people to people business. Technology does not replace people. It never has, and it never will. It can help. But so what I encourage you today to do is do some of these, you know, grassroots marketing techniques. That may be your way to finding your next deal. Okay. For those of you that are not a partner, we need more partners across America. We're closing more deals than we ever have before. And just like Peter said, you get the live daily training calls. That's Monday through Friday. We do well over 12 training calls a week. You also have a pre-recorded university along with the utilization of our back office to help you close deals. Hey, guess what? On top of that, every day, Monday through Friday, you can schedule a call with our master coaches and our team at any time. We do not shy away from helping our partners. If you would like to learn more about being one of our partners, just give that number a call at 404-915-9685. And just for today, we ourselves will finance your journey at only $1,500 down. And I'm telling you, that's lower than we've ever done it before. Woke up, you know, thinking, hey, we need to get some more partners today. So let's reduce that monthly payment down. So if you would give this call, 404-915-9685. I hope you guys have a blessed weekend. And I will see you soon.
Bye, guys.